So k-means clustering, do you know what do you mean by the k-means clustering? Yes, k-means clustering, it's a see, the k-means clustering is nothing but your supervised algorithm, right? Or unsupervised algorithm. Is it supervised or unsupervised algorithm? It is unsupervised algorithm. Why it is to be called as unsupervised algorithm? Yes, it is a unlabeled data set, right? It means a data set which is not properly labeled. What do you mean by the not properly labeled? It means the data which are some misplaced or nan values are to be more there. Okay, non-categorical values are more there, right? The values which is we cannot able to convert in proper scalar values, right? So what we should do in this case is that we can only bifurcate the data, or we can partition the data properly in the cluster form. Okay, we bifurcate or partition the data in the cluster form. Like suppose if we have one of the data set, in that data like employer data set, and in that employer data set if we have some attributes like your salary, and if you have attributes as like a position, experiences, right? Now suppose you want to bifurcate or partition the data set, you should consider any two attributes for bifurcating or partitioning that the given samples. Okay, so based on some experience, if the experience of the candidate or employer is from 1 to 5 is one cluster, from 6 to 10 is one cluster, and from 11 to onwards is one cluster. So this is based on some conditions that we are partitioning the samples or the data, right? And because the information in the data set which is not properly labeled, and we cannot able to apply the classification for this, right? Because it is not properly labeled. So for this purpose we are using this partitioning part, or this is partitioning condition for clustering the data set. Is it okay? So this is what you can say about your this unsupervised learning. And from this unsupervised learning you can have one of the partitioning clustering that is to be known as a k-means clustering algorithm. Is it okay? So k means, it means k is a constant that stands for the number of data or number of samples from which you are performing the operation based on the calculating the mean value. Basically calculating the mean value, it means like suppose if you have a 5 samples, for that 5 samples you are calculating some mean for this 5 sample, okay, to get the centroid, right? To get the centroid, and once you get the centroid, then you will try to identify the samples which is nearer to that centroid likewise. And that's why it is to be known as k means, number of samples, based on that you are identifying the centroids, right? Initially at the stage, even you can identify any kind of sample which is to be considered to be as your centroid, and after that you will try to calculate the distance from the other samples or objects to the centroid, right? And then you will identify the class of the samples, either it is in the your centroid 1 or centroid 2 class, or centroid 1 or centroid 2 cluster. And after that the number of samples which is clubbed in centroid 1, that is to be get calculated with the mean value for calculating the second centroid, right? These steps will go on till your distance object will be same in the next step. Is it okay? And that's why this is to be called as a k means, that is you are going to calculate the mean value for the given samples in the clusters. Is it okay? So now here, so one of the basic steps of the k-means clustering is a sample. In the beginning, determine the number of k, that is cluster k, and we assume the centroid of the cluster. We can take any random k object in the sequence, can also serve as a initial centroid. Now here in this, suppose if you have a number of samples, total number of samples, that is either 4 or 5, then you are considering any sample to be as a centroid, right? To be considered as a any centroid, that is randomly you are choosing a k object as a centroid. Is it okay? Are you getting this? Yes. Okay. So now basically here you can just consider the three steps in this k-means clustering. That first uh, step, see, when you are considering these three steps, in that this will be iterate until the it gets stable such a way that no object move a group. Are you getting? Are you getting this? Condition of this your while loop or some statement if you are using for coding purpose. Okay, this is your pseudocode algorithm. In this, suppose if you are considering to perform this algorithm, when and where you have to stop, आपको कहाँ रुकना है, ठीक है? So in this case, iteration to be follow such a way that your object distance or object is calculated, and objects should be verify your cluster first, and if the cluster is the same in the next step, that is no object move their group, no object should move their group. In that case you have to stop there. In that case you have to stop there. So this is your condition for performing these steps. Otherwise your steps of performing this algorithm will go on. Okay, so तब तक ये steps आपको follow करने हैं जब तक ये condition meet नहीं करती है, ठीक है? So now first step is determine the centroid coordinate. Okay, so first step क्या है आपका कि आपको centroid लेना है, ठीक है? मतलब आपके पास में अगर कुछ सैंपल्स दिए हैं तो आपको उसमें से कोई भी एक सैंपल एज अ सेंट्रॉइड करके कंसिडर करना है, या दो सैंपल भी आप एज अ सेंट्रॉइड करके उसको कंसिडर कर सकते हो. सो दैट डिपेंड्स ऑन यू दैट how many clusters you have to make. Either you have to make one cluster, two cluster or three cluster. Based on that you will identify your centroid. ओके उसके बेसिस पे आपको सेंट्रॉइड आइडेंटिफाई करने. मान लो मुझे अभी दो सेंट्रॉइड लिए हैं तो मैं दो क्लस्टर बनाना चाहती हूँ, ठीक है? आई वांटेड टू मेक द टू क्लस्टर सो दैट आई विल चूज द टू centroid from your given samples. So determine your centroid coordinate, determine the distance of the each object to the centroid. Now what you have to do in this, now if you have defined the two centroid, अगर आपके पास में अगर आपने C1 और C2 दो centroid अगर डिफाइन किए हैं, ठीक है, तो आपको जो भी सैंपल्स दिए हैं डाटा सेट में वो सैंपल से लेके सेंट्रॉइड तक के सारे डिस्टेंस वहां पे निकालने पड़ेंगे और आपको वो कहीं तो भी स्टोर करने पड़ेंगे, ठीक है? वंस यू हैव कैलकुलेटेड दैट डिस्टेंस फ्रॉम द ईच ऑब्जेक्ट टू द सेंट्रॉइड, आफ्टर दैट you will check the which object is nearer to which centroid, which object is nearer to which centroid, मतलब कौन सा ऑब्जेक्ट कौन से सेंट्रॉइड के करीब है या उसके पास है, ठीक है? सो इन दैट केस इफ सेंट्रॉइड 1 is there and now sample 2 and 3 is nearer to your centroid 1 and sample 1 and 4 is nearer to your centroid 2, like that it may like that. Okay, so you are trying to identify the group of that object basically. So like here have four samples, 2 and 3 is belongs to your first centroid group and 1 and 4 is belong to your centroid 2 group. So accordingly you can identify. Again the same step will be repeatedly again here these steps will be repeated till no object is moved to the other group. मतलब जब तक अगर आपके पास में सेंट्रॉइड जब आपके पास में 2 और 3 आपका सेंट्रॉइड 1 में आ गया है बराबर, तो क्या करोगे, और 1 और 4 2 में आ गया है, और जब आप सेम स्टेप्स फिर से रिपीट करते हो, ठीक है, again you will go for step 1 2 and 3 in the next step. Then again if your sample 2 belongs to your centroid 2 and 3 will be belongs to your centroid 2, again it will change, इन दैट केस अगर फिर से अगर ऐसा हो सकता है कि आपके जो पहले स्टेप में जो आए थे ग्रुप, वो अगर आपके सेकंड स्टेप में अगर नहीं आया है, अगर वो मूव हो गया है, तो फिर से आपका थर्ड स्टेप रिपीट होगा। ओके, आर यू गेटिंग व्हाट आई मीन टू से? जब तक कि आपका जो सैंपल है वो अगर आपका ग्रुप चेंज नहीं करता है, तब तक आपको ये स्टेप फॉलो करना है। ठीक है, आर यू गेटिंग? Okay, so you have to follow the step till the no object should move to the other group, right? So this is what your three step. The flow chart is given over there. You can see the flow chart. Check your flow chart. Initially, you can start from choosing the centroid. Okay, based on that, how many clusters you have to prepare. Then you can, once you choose the centroid, calculate the distance object to the centroid. Now whenever you are calculating the distance object to the centroid, you can use any kind of distance calculation formula. There is no condition that you can use only the Euclidean distance or Hamiltonians. It's not like that. You can use any kind of distance object, distance calculation formula for calculating the distance of object of to your centroid. Now in this case, again, you can, once you calculated the distance of the object to the centroid, you will check the group of that object, uh, which follow in which centroid or in the which group. And that is, once you check it, that again you will identify your centroid by calculating the mean value of the samples which is belongs to your first group and second group. And based on that, again you are calculating the centroid, again following the same procedure, calculating the again distance object to the centroid, and again checking the group of that sample. This step will repeat it till the no object should move their group. Understand this? Then this is what your procedure, flow chart and procedure. Now you can have one sample example. यहाँ पे एक example दिया है. See here, there are only the 4 samples we have taken. कितने samples लिए यहाँ पे? 4 samples है. ठीक है, अब ये 4 sample है A, B, C and D. ठीक है, these are the medicines. Now the attributes are given for this medicine. That attributes are, this is a weight and this is your pH value. Okay, now some for this medicine, weight and pH value is given. In this, suppose if you are identifying a centroid for this, you can choose the any two centroid from this. Suppose you are considering A and B, these are the two centroid. In that case, you are writing this attribute with the value like a 1 1 and 2 1. So attribute value for your medicine A is a 1 1 and for medicine B it is a 2 1. Are you getting? So weight is your X and your pH value is the Y. वेट आपका क्या है? X है और आपका pH वैल्यू क्या है? Y. Okay, so here attribute is written X comma Y. Now first step, that initial value of the centroid which we have taken is that A and B sample is the first centroid, and for this you have taken this sample. Now see here, for this A medicine, this is a X and this is a Y. Okay, X and Y. So here I have written that your C1 which is 1 1 XY value and C2 is your 2 1 value. Okay, is it visible to you? And we have drawn this graph for this 4 samples here. Even if you have 400 sample, देखो यहाँ पे मैंने 4 ही सैंपल लिए हैं, पर अगर आप एक्चुअल में कोई स्टैंडर्ड डाटा सेट यूज करते हो कैगल से या यूसीआई से, तो उसमें आपको 400 500 ऐसे सैंपल्स मिलेंगे. ठीक है, अब वो केस में जब आप प्लॉट करते हो तो आप लोग मैट प्लॉट यूज करके प्लॉट करोगे, राइट? You are plotting the samples using the matplot library, and when you are plotting that with your attributes of X and Y, it will be visible like that. Okay, so here sample A, B, C, D, here it is visible like that. आप यहाँ पे इसको sample को इस तरह से देख सकते हो. ठीक है, you can see that samples over there, and here A and B is your centroid. A और B क्या है आपके? Centroid है. Is it okay? So now you are calculating the second step. So object to the centroid distance. Here we are calculating the object to the centroid distance. We can calculate the distance between the cluster centroid to the each object. Use the Euclidean distance formula for the same. Now you can have the one Euclidean distance formula that I have mentioned here. So when you are calculating the Euclidean distance formula, in that case you can calculate the distance matrix. Okay. So here distance formula is given, that summation of your the total number of samples minus 1 uh, run to your number of samples, and then your x value of ik minus x value of your jk whole square, that should be written in your square root. So this is your Euclidean distance formula. According to this Euclidean distance formula, you are trying to calculate the distance of the each object to the centroid. Okay, each object to the centroid. So your first object, आपका first object क्या है अभी? Can you tell me which is your first object? Your first object कौन सा है आपका? Can you tell me? This is 1 comma 1. Is this your first object? Yes, 1 comma 1. And what is your centroid? Centroid is here again what? Same. So your distance from object to centroid is a कितना आता है? How much it is? 0, right? So this is 0. You can see here, this is 0. Now object 1 to the centroid 1. Centroid 1 is 1 1 and object 2 is a 2 1. So for this, if you are applying the Euclidean distance, in that case you will calculate the value 1 for the same. Similarly, object 3. What is your object 3? 4 comma 3. Okay, you can see here your object 3 is a 4 comma 3 to C1 1 1. So 4 minus 1 whole bracket square plus 3 minus 1 bracket square, you will get this value as a 3.61. Similarly 4 comma 3 to your centroid 2 distance. तो centroid 2 का distance यहाँ पे कितना आता है? देखो 4 minus 2 plus 3 minus 1 whole bracket square and the square root of that will be a 2.83. Okay. Similarly, you are calculating it for the object 4. किसके लिए कैलकुलेट करना है? ऑब्जेक्ट 4. तो ये सी के लिए हमने कैलकुलेट किया है, मेडिसिन सी के लिए. अभी सिमिलरली आपको किसके लिए कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा? मेडिसिन 4 के लिए. और जब आप मेडिसिन 4 के लिए कैलकुलेट करोगे तो यहाँ पे वो वैल्यू आएगी. मेडिसिन 4 के लिए सेंट्रोइड 1 डिस्टेंस आता है 5 और सेंट्रोइड 2 का डिस्टेंस आता है 4.24. So here we have calculated that, and after calculating it we have got this distance matrix 0 1 1 0 3.61 2.83 and 5 and 4.24. Now you will identify that which object is nearer to which centroid. कौन से ऑब्जेक्ट कौन से सेंट्रोइड की करीब है, ठीक है, या पास में है. सो यहाँ पे कौन से सैंपल्स किसके कौन से सेंट्रोइड के मिनिमम डिस्टेंस में आते हैं वो आपको चेक करना है, ठीक है. सो यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो दैट your 3 samples, that is your C, D and E. C, D and E, ये 3 सैंपल आपके सेंट्रोइड 2 में जाते. कौन से किस में आते हैं? 1 में. और एक सैंपल किस में आता है आपका? 1 group में. Are you getting this? See here, when you are comparing this, then in that case your this 3 samples, that is your B, C and D will come in the which one group? अभी आपका सेंट्रोइड का ग्रुप चेंज हो जाएगा और 1 1 ये एक ग्रुप में आता है और B C D एक ग्रुप में आता है. Okay, are you getting this? So you are trying to identify the cluster based on the minimum distance, and after that again your centroid will be changed. So A is assigned to your group 1, B is assigned to group 2, C is assigned to your group 2 and D is assigned to your group 2. So accordingly again you will repeat the step. by finding out the mean value of your group 1 and group 2. So group 1 में A है medicine और B में आपका B, C और D है. So you are calculating the mean value for this centroid 2, that is 245 divided by 3, 1 plus 3 plus 4 divided by 3, and you are getting the centroid 2, and centroid 1 will be the same, that is your medicine A. Understood? So your centroid 2 has been changed in the second step. Again, in the second step, you will try to identify the distance matrix for the each object to your centroid. Okay. So again, you will try to get the distance object of the each object to your centroid 1, 1. Your centroid 1 and centroid 2 will be changed for the group 1 and group 2. And again, you will identify the distance matrix for the same. So in that case, again, when you are identify the distance matrix, देखो D1 आपका D1 जो है, now you can move to your D1 distance matrix D1. In that you will find out the value after finding out the Euclidean distance from the each object to the centroid. At that stage, you will get these values and you will get the two groups again, that A and B is in one group and C and D is in another group. In that case, in the fourth step, maybe your sample group will not be changed and A and B will belongs to your first group and C and D will belongs to your second group. So accordingly, you will find out the group of your sample here using your k-means clustering.